Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with another Speaking My Mind episode. It feels like a long time since I've done one, but I'm literally recording this in July, very early July. I think it's like 6th or 7th of July I'm recording this, just for reference, in case anyone's wondering when this is being recorded. So it has been a while since I've done a Speaking My Mind episode. In this episode, I want to talk about the Middle East, guys, because it's something that has been a lot in the news, a lot more. Obviously, what keeps happening in Gaza is disgusting and horrifying. My hope is that by the time you guys see this video, that perhaps, and I say the word perhaps, that there is a ceasefire and that aid is allowed in, and we're not relying on the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation to literally starve the people of, as it continues to shoot at innocent Palestinians who desperately need food, medicine, supplies and whatnot. Watching back on the documentary that Channel 4 aired was extremely heartbreaking. What was the thing that upset me the most, I would say, was that a lot of it was like, there was a lot of footage and videos I had not seen before, but a lot of it was like, I knew this happened, and yet nothing's been done about it. And my anger is not at the Israeli people. I've said this before and I've said this again. My frustration is the government. My frustration is Netanyahu. The decisions that they are taking, deliberately and intentionally taking, and the influence that Israel has on the UK, the US, and other certain nations out there that are trying to disparage what is really going on in the Middle East. Now, I, for one, am no fan of Iran, obviously, of their government and whatnot, but they are in the situation that they are in because of Western interference in the past. If you look up the history of how Iran came to be the way it is because of because of the history of how much, especially the British Empire, and the influence that it had in Iran as well. It's understandable why they're so rejected and so anti-Western, because people do not forget their history so easily on that. And what has happened in the Middle East with regards to Iran has been because of Western interference. What's happened to Israel is a direct result of Western interference, in particular the British, for allowing the Nakba to be allowed to happen, for Israel to be formed in the way that it is. And what's happened since that creation of Israel, they've literally conquered pretty much most of Palestine. Land that belonged to the Palestinian people. It was their home, it was their country, and that was taken from them. I know it's not as simple as that. I know it's much deeper than that, guys. I know it's much deeper than that. It's not as simple as that. But I just go back to this reference when I think about what's happened till then, till now. Of course, counting October 7th. It's a direct. What happened on October 7th was because of a boiling up of anger of what Hamas, which was formed because of how Palestinians have been treated under occupation of Israel. They've never been allowed to be able to be their own free, independent country, their own state, to be allowed to be recognised, to be able to have the same rights that you and I and so many people around the world have. They just don't have that. And it's just not fair. And you really just can't pick up and shift all those people. There's so many Palestinians have lost life. I mean, this really is a dark day in our history, because the Western world, who talk about democracy, standing up for people's rights and whatnot, they're just sitting there and allowing it to happen. And even when people are protesting, and I do question sometimes the line of how far you go for your protest, it's led to even more anger and frustration, because that's what it is. People just want to be heard, and governments are just not listening. Correction, they are listening, they're choosing not to take action. They're choosing not to do anything about it. And I feel so much for those in the Middle East, you know, in the suffering that they have to go through every single day, the struggle that they go through. It's unimaginable what Palestinians have to go through. What Lebanon still continues. Lebanon cannot be, even for them, what happened, you know, with the formation of Hezbollah and what's happening in southern Lebanon with Israel, you know, relationship obviously strained between Israel and Syria, Israel and Yemen, in particular the Houthi rebels. Like, it is pretty much, it feels like the whole destabilization of the Middle East is all down to one country, and that's Israel. It really does feel like that. And many Israelis who've born and grown and lived in their lives in Israel, you know, for some of them, they don't see it like that. They see Israel, it is their home, it's their birthright, this is their land, their country. And that's not what it was always seen, that's not what it always was. It wasn't always Israel. But some people will argue differently on that. But for whatever reason, well, I say whatever reason, we know the reasons, but a long history between Israelis and Palestinians, I don't know if it will ever end. But anyone who can make Israel heed will certainly change the course of history. The problem is that because they have so much influence in America, in Britain, in the West, nobody really wants to stand up to them. And this is where the power of social media and the internet playing a vital role in exposing Israel for who they are. So unless they suppress the internet, which the West are not going to do, at least right now, people will still be fully aware of what's happening. And it's news outlets like Al Jazeera, Middle Eastern Eye and others who dare to put their lives on the line to tell us what's going on in there, as well as people with mobile phones in the country. If people have phones, they can record and send out what's going on in the Middle East as well. We see it. And trust me, not every Israeli who lives in Israel is happy about what's going on. Yes, the population may be behind Netanyahu, and of course, rightfully, they want justice for what happened on October the 7th. But not everyone wants to see what's happening there, because some of the Israelis actually have a conscience, they have a heart. So let's hope that something will come at some point, because it really is very disheartening to watch and talk about all the time, guys. But it's important to remind us that this is happening in the world, because if we don't talk about it, there'll be suffering in silence. So let me know what you guys have thoughts about the current affairs in the Middle East at the moment. Let me know what you think of my thoughts and more down in the comment section below. If you can, hit the like, share and subscribe, all that usual stuff, guys. Thank you very much if you've watched this far. I really appreciate it, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.